Hello everybody, how you guys doing? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showcasing Void God Hand Exodia. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. If you want to get Void for yourself, guys, you're going to need to go to the raid portals. Then you need to go to the Crimson Eclipse, where you can have a 1% chance to get the secret unit. I wish you guys luck. Once you get Void, you cannot evolve him farther. You're stuck with God Hand, and there's nothing more you can do with him. Before we take a look at his stats, we'll go look at his passive. So he summons demons from the God Hand based on the number of waypoints within attack range, so anywhere within his range that has a waypoint in it, they will spawn there. So if he's near the pathway in the match, he will spawn them on that pathway. The summoned demons appear randomly within the area inside his attack radius. Each demon's HP is scaled on the unit's damage and SPA, and the total number of summoned monsters from all summon type characters on the player side is limited to 10. Now, my Void's stats are a secret in attack, a secret in SPA, because these both attribute to the HP of the summoned demons. And then we have a mythic in range, because that is not as important. And of course, we have Exodia for our Void, which has a 300% increase for attack, a minus 10% SPA, and a plus 10 range. And it also sets it to 1 placement. It doesn't matter for us, though. That's fine. Now, normally I don't do this, but his summons HP are kind of low, so I will bring along Rimuru to try and boost up his summoned HP as much as possible. Without further ado, let's get into the Infinity. Alright, our first placement of Void is going to cost us 5k. He'll start summoning units to attack the line. Currently, they have 1.5k HP, which is kind of terrible. Well, let's see if we can boost that up with our next upgrade. Upgrade 1, they go up to 58.7k. Not bad. They get summoned once every 2.8 seconds. Upgrade 2, he now summons 78.3k. That's pretty decent. Upgrade 3 is going to be his maximum, where he is now summoning units that have 117.5 thousand HP on the board. That is enough to steamroll the beginning of most waves, but you will have trouble keeping up with most raids using this unit. Next, we'll look how much his summon's HP is if we just purely place down Rimuru and don't look at anything else. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is that Void will not receive the HP to his summon buff if you do not place down Rimuru first. You need to place Rimuru first, then you upgrade Void, and he will now deal 234.9k HP summon health. Then, of course, we'll place down our... We'll do Idol first. We got the Idol buff, which is now buffing his summon HP to 352.4 thousand every 2.4 seconds. That is pretty decent. He has an increased range of 121. Now we'll do the Robin buff, extra 75% attack. He now has 528.5 thousand every 2 seconds for his summons. That is making him deal 500,000 damage per every single summon. Each summon has 500,000 health, and if he has a max of 10, that means you're dealing 5 million damage if he has all 10 summons on the board. He does not have any nuking abilities, or even just attacking at all. His range is really his only strong suit, but that's not very useful if you can only have a certain amount of summons on the board at one time. Is he a strong unit? Definitely, but not as strong as some other units. My Rukia over here, which has a secret in attack, mythic and SPA in range, is dealing 1.8 million with all these buffs that she's receiving. Her only artifact is that she has stun, and then she also has the Abyss trait, but nothing here would increase her damage besides the 50% damage to bosses. So she's just straight up getting raw buff damage from our Robin and Idol. She is also getting a buff from Abyss, which is just a 15%. So she has a buff of 140% with the minus 20 SPA and a plus 20 range. If you want to make Void stronger, and you have Ainz, Ainz's ability could possibly work at making these summons deal 2.5 times damage, so they could be dealing up to about 1.25 million damage per summon if the Ainz debuff works. That's what you're looking towards. However, if you want Void to be this strong, you're missing out on some pretty good character slots. Not only are you placing 2 of your slots with buffing units, you also have your farming unit. Rukia is just a standard slow unit. You could replace Rukia with anything, but I'd recommend keeping her on if you're trying to use Void, just for the slow. That way all your units that you summon can actually, in fact, hit the enemies that you're looking for. Rimuru is not a super big unit to have on here. He doesn't do that much damage. He does have a nuking ability though, and he does do good damage against bosses. But other than that, it's not really that worth it to use Void. I'd say just by himself, he's probably around B tier, low B, high C. He's not really that good unless you have a lot of buffing towers, If you're playing with other people, they could also be using Rimuru and these other buffing towers so that you don't have to worry about any of that. And you can also have other units in your bar besides these buffing towers, or even Rimuru yourself, and you could replace them with better and stronger units while you have Void being buffed by other players. Other than that, that's about it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.